Hey guys, so I know there's a couple videos out there already that do a pretty good job about explaining where all this goes, how to take apart the dash, and things like that. But I found a problem with some of those videos on some things that they just skipped over that people like you and I just, we're not experts by any means, don't exactly know where they go or what they're for. So I wanted to make this video to kind of help with that and try and track down some of the little nuances that you might have questions about before you have to call whoever and figure it out. For instance, I picked up all this stuff at Crutchfield. Their customer service is awesome. It always is. I've bought almost every stereo I've ever put in from them. So in this instance, I am installing a Pioneer 4660 NEX. It's got wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, and it seemed like a pretty solid unit. It was about $600, and then plus all the installation stuff. So it was a pretty good unit for it. It's got every feature that I wanted, and my work phone is an iPhone, and my personal phone is an Android, so I wanted something that would work with both fine. So those are my components. If you add your stuff into Crutchfield, it basically gives you everything you need. A couple extra things I did get, of course, is a micro bypass. That would be this here. I just ordered that on Amazon, and they say it's not necessary for this radio, but it doesn't necessarily hurt to install it. My reasoning for putting it on here is basically so I don't have to tap into my e-brake. If it works, great. If it doesn't, and there's some other feature on the radio that I can use to bypass it, then I'll go ahead and do that. But at least this way I didn't have to tap into my e-brake wire, so that was my purpose for putting that in. Another thing I picked up was this knockout switch. Someone else used it similarly. It has one port for just charging and another port for audio. It's got a USB that comes off there, as well as a power and ground wire. I'm probably just going to wire the power up to the power outlet that's in the center console. It has all those wires right there. It'll be super simple. There's probably way too much wire on there to begin with, but that should be pretty simple and will just look more factory. I really don't like cables hanging around my vehicle. I just think it looks bad. So if I can prevent it and find a solution like that, I definitely will. So I already have mine all soldered together and everything's all put together for the most part. My micro bypass here. So obviously our black is put into the ground wires on both radios. Green, that's ran to the e-brake wire. Don't pay attention to all this wire. That's something else entirely. I'll get to that. And then the blue here is wired into the remote out off the radio. The remote out is also tied into the power antenna wire on the harness adapter. And that is where this bypass gets its power. Now, I have heard people have troubles with the connecting that to the remote wire. They've had some issues with constant power draw. So I'll have to see about that one. If that is an issue, people say you can also wire it into the 12 volt accessory wire. And it will most likely do the same trick. So I'm going to try it on the blue just because the instructions on all these bypasses, that's where it says it needs to go. And then if I notice a problem, it won't be too big of a deal to take this out here and splice it into the red wire. Other than that, let's see, this is the interface to keep the steering wheel controls. My particular 4runner is a 2005, has the JBL system. It has no navigation. Since it's older, there's no aux inputs. So it's, for the most part, fairly simple. On this interface here, you do have to set it for what you are putting it into. Please excuse my shakiness. I'm getting old. But, so yeah, if I can get this to focus here. You can see the number on the left side, the number 1 is down, 2 and 3 are up. And that sets it for our particular model of Toyota. 4runner. These other sides are the gain switches. And this is something in the instructions that I could not find anywhere. So in doing some research and things like that, Crutchfield recommends to set it to the medium settings. Just start there and see if you like that. It seems like most people have been happy with that, so I'm gonna roll with the same philosophy. I'm gonna start it in the middle. I'll test it out thoroughly before I put my dash all back together and everything, and hopefully that'll be good. So this is the middle gain setting. Number 1 is up, 2 and 3 are down. So that's it on that one. This is the connection that will connect into the back of the radio. We'll connect into this WR slot right here. And that's what allows me to keep all my steering wheel controls. Now, this connection here is specific to a Pioneer and I believe Sony radio. There are different connections to keep your steering wheel controls on some other radios. Those parts I did not use. They are still in the box over here. So this is specific to this radio, but it's a fairly simple hookup if you have another kind. Speaking of what comes in the adapter box, there are actually 2 harnesses that come in that box. The harness that I am using for my particular situation is the Type B harness. The other harness in there is Type A, and I believe in looking at that, that is for a unit that has navigation and everything like that. So in this instance, I'm obviously not using that. There's a bunch of extra wires left over in that box as well, so don't be too concerned if you have a bunch left over. It's not that big a deal. They just send everything in one box. The only other thing that I wanted to be covered was the VSS switch, or vehicle speed sensor. So on this one, on the Pioneer harness here, they sent an incredibly short vehicle speed sensor wire for whatever reason. So what I ended up doing was, since I cut all the wire off the e-brake tap wire, that one was fortunately really long, I went ahead and just took that wire and soldered that onto there, so I have plenty to go tie into my VSS wire. Is it the smartest thing to do to mix match colors? No, but I didn't want to go buy a bunch of wire just for one little connection. It was kind of unnecessary, so it'll work. I'll make sure to label it properly, so in the future, if I'm ever wondering what the heck this wire is, I'll have something on it. So this is the main part of this video. Apple CarPlay has made it necessary to have a VSS signal to run wireless Apple CarPlay. So this is a necessity now. There's no bypass for it. There are some workarounds that I just seem kind of iffy, and I really could not find a reliable source about where the heck this VSS wire is in our 4runners. So that is what I'm going to try and help with, and find it and explain it, and hopefully help somebody out about how to get that hooked up and not mess things or stress about it. So that's the main part here. If you guys are looking for information about to take out the dash and how to get that all apart and everything, definitely go check out one of those other guys' videos. They did a very good job explaining all that. I'm not trying to get into those parts. I'm just trying to get into some of the stuff that they missed. Things that I researched and just really did not have a reliable source to find it. So I'm going to try and do that and get the information out there. I am going to finish up this harness here. I'm going to wrap it up in tape. This is abrasion tape, also known as Tessa tape. This is 3M stuff, but it's very similar and it's always worked good. Hell of a lot cheaper, and you can find it at your local Home Depot. So I'm going to get this wrapped up and then we will move on to the 4runner. So let's do that. Okay, so I've got it all taped up now and ready to go. Not the best tape job I've ever done, but it'll do the trick. A couple things I forgot to mention in the first part here is on the stereo side, I'm keeping the factory amp in, and the factory speakers, they're plenty good enough for my taste. So there are a couple wires that you won't end up using on here. There are a purple and black, a green and black, and those run to your rear speakers if you have non-factory speakers. So I'm not using those. I put heat shrink over the end of those so they don't come in contact with everything else, and then just included them in the bundle. There is also a reverse sensing wire on here. It is violet and white, I believe. I believe it's that one right there. That one I'm also not using because I'm not putting in a backup camera or anything like that. I may use that in the future. I probably shouldn't have included this in my sleeving harness, but it is what it is. But there's another wire that's not being used. On the adapter side of this, there is the power antenna out wire. You don't use that one either. You would use that if you were installing an aftermarket amp, I believe, but I am not. And one other thing I wanted to mention is, for those of you that already have a navigation system and all that in there, chances are you already have a VSS wire ran up to your dash. You will be able to find that somewhere behind your radio. So what's coming in the next parts probably doesn't apply to you. Yours should be much easier to find. It's already there. Should be much simpler to tap into. You may still have to add wire depending on how long whatever radio you choose decides to send you, but you should have a much easier time locating it. So that's about it here. Oh, one other thing. It says on this interface here, it says to connect a 12 pin connector into it. The one on this particular harness is only a 10 pin. So I thought that was kind of weird, but don't be concerned. It plugs right into there. That's where it's supposed to go. Just a little weird thing. It's a little different than the instructions. So I just wanted to make note of that. So if anybody gets a little bit worried on that part. Take a drink of Red Bull here, grow some wings, and we'll go out to the car. So here's my absolutely filthy 4runner. Got some decals and stuff on it, and I'm working on it. So now I need to start taking all this apart, getting this all taken down and everything like that. Now Crutchfield does say that the VSS wire is somewhere behind the kick panel fuse box. It should be behind here somewhere. So I will locate that and let you guys know when I'm gonna get to taking this apart. There's my banana holder. And so we'll get to that. Alright guys, so a little bit of an update here. You can see I have my cabin completely torn apart here. So it has been a complete and total pain in the butt, as totally expected. Crutchfield's recommendation for where that VSS wire is supposed to go is behind the fuse panel in the kickbox, which is this one right here. Now, if you can tell from the video here, getting behind this fuse box is next to impossible. Yeah, you can't, with the pedals in the way and everything down here, there's just no room to even try and locate where this purple and red wire is supposed to be. You could try and take the fuse panel off. You can see there's a couple bolts up in there, but at that point you're messing with a bunch of wires, you're moving a bunch of stuff, you're taking a whole fuse panel off. I mean, that it starts getting a little sketchy doing that. I don't like doing that stuff if I can help it. So yeah, somewhere back there, one of those 16 pin plugs has the purple and red wire that we're supposed to tap into. Now, in calling Crutchfield, they didn't have any better info. They didn't have pictures. They didn't have anything. So that was the best they could give me is, you could try and remove that box. Well, I am not comfortable doing that. So instead, logic has it is, where's the next best place you're probably going to find the VSS wire? Well, chances are you're probably going to find it at the Speedo. And sure enough. So I have my whole dash here torn out with the Speedo out and all that stuff. It's actually fairly simple. If you already have this kick panel off, it's pretty simple to pull the rest of the clips to get your housing off. And the Speedo has a bolt there, a bolt there, a bolt up top, and then it has these two bolts which seat it into the clips that it's supposed to be in. So if you look back in here, try and get you guys a bit closer, you can see that wire right there where I have it tapped into. You can see the heat shrink on there now. That is the VSS wire that runs to the back of the Speedo. So that's where I decided to tap into. I took the tape off like that one there, got everything separated. I was able to get my solder gun in there and get those two connected. It's really tight, but it is possible. It's not the most ideal place to put this into. I mean, I would prefer that there was an easier place somewhere. I was hoping there'd be an easier place somewhere in here, but there really isn't. There is in this harness here, there is a purple and red wire, but I really had no way to verify that for sure was also the VSS wire. I mean, for the most part, wires that run throughout can be the same. Sometimes they change. You don't know. At least with this one, being on the back of my Speedo, I was able to follow this and follow it down. And I am fairly confident that is the same wire that's running from the back of the fuse panel. So there's an update on that. I'm going to finish putting this back all together and try out the radio, and hopefully everything works all right. So we'll get back to it, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, so I got everything put back together. Sorry for the darkness here. It's pretty dark in my garage, but yeah, everything's working good. Let me turn the flash off real quick. So you got Apple CarPlay connected. Everything's working good. I can access all settings that I have available to me. Don't have the e-brake on at all. Everything's good, so that cleared. Also got this wired in here. Looks all right, kind of factory. Little glossy, doesn't quite match everything, but it's better than a wire sticking out. So I just wired this into the power for this. There was a brown power wire and it was like a white black ground. So just wire the red power into the brown, the black into the white, and that's good to go. Everything's working there. I can connect to that and also use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay connected if I wanted to, but this does it wirelessly, obviously, so everything's good there. So yeah, everything checks out here. The VSS wire has worked. I went and tested that out and everything was good on that end. So the wire behind here definitely does work. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and if I had to make a recommendation to you guys, I would definitely say try to find a radio that doesn't have that wire. I heard that Kenwoods have a firmware update to where they don't need that wire anymore, and there's some other stereos that work without it. So honestly, if I had to do it again, even though the Kenwoods were out of stock, I probably would have waited and gone ahead and went that route. But just in case you're like me and you already bought one and you're wondering where the heck to put that dang wire now, hopefully this helped and you can get an idea of where to actually put it and get all your stuff working properly so you don't miss out on any features or anything. So that's about it for this one. If you guys have any more questions, by no means am I an expert, but leave them in the comments below and I'll try to be responsive to everybody, and I'll try to answer any question I have the ability to. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped some of you out. Let me know if it helped you out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.